Rick Harrison built something that many people once admired, but today that world seems to be breaking apart piece by piece. For years, he was known as the face of a massive business empire built around pawnshops, television fame, and a tough, street-smart image. Now, everything around him feels unstable. The Pawn Stars television show ended quietly in 2025 without any clear explanation from the History Channel. There was no big farewell, no final celebration, just silence. Around the same time, his personal life began to unravel in ways that shocked fans. His son Corey openly called the show fake and decided to leave the United States for good, moving to Mexico and cutting himself off from the family business. Even more painful, Rick's own mother filed a lawsuit accusing him of stealing millions of dollars while she was unconscious in a hospital. Within just a few years, Rick lost his father, became estranged from his son, and ended up in a legal war with his mother. Now, he is trying to restart everything with a project called Pawn Stars 2.0, but people inside the industry believe this is less about creativity and more about survival. Many say Rick is desperately trying to avoid bankruptcy and keep his name alive. Rick Harrison was born on March 27, 1965, in Lexington, North Carolina. From the beginning, his life carried heavy challenges. His father, Richard Benjamin Harrison Jr., was a strict Navy man who believed in discipline, rules, and structure. His mother, Joanne Rue Harrison, tried to balance that strict environment by holding the family together emotionally. Rick also had an older sister named Sherry, but she died when she was only 6 years old. That loss deeply affected the family and left a quiet sadness that never fully disappeared. Just 2 years later, when Rick was only 2 years old, his father was sent by the Navy to San Diego. Once again, the family had to pack up and move. This pattern continued throughout Rick's childhood. Moving became normal for him. New houses, new schools, new classmates, and no time to settle in one place. Each move made life harder in its own way. Rick never stayed anywhere long enough to feel fully comfortable. Just as he began to make friends, it was time to leave again. Over time, this taught him how to adjust quickly, how to read people fast, and how to survive in unfamiliar situations. But when Rick turned 8 years old, life became much more difficult. That was when he began having seizures. About once a month, his body would completely lose control. After each episode, his muscles hurt so badly that he sometimes stayed in bed for days. While other children were outside playing, running, and laughing, Rick was often stuck in a dark room trying to recover. He missed school, missed social moments, and missed feeling like a normal kid. Those long days in bed changed him in an unexpected way. With nothing else to do, Rick started reading. At first, it was just to pass the time, but soon reading became everything to him. Book after book filled the silence. Stories gave him an escape when his own body would not cooperate. He later said that reading saved his life because it kept his mind active and gave him something to focus on when everything else felt out of his control. Through books, he found comfort, strength, and purpose. One series in particular left a deep mark on him. It was called The Great Brain, a set of 10 books about a clever boy named Tom Fitzgerald who always had a scheme ready. Tom lived in Utah and was constantly finding ways to solve problems, make deals, and outsmart difficult situations. Rick saw himself in that character. He loved the way Tom thought ahead, took risks, and looked for opportunities even when things went wrong. Slowly, Rick began thinking differently about the world. He started seeing problems as puzzles instead of dead ends. The books taught him that ambition needed balance and that every action had consequences. In a childhood where he often felt powerless, these stories gave him direction and control. Despite these mental escapes, Rick was still a teenager dealing with pain, frustration, and confusion. By the time he was 14, he started smoking marijuana. For him, it was a way to escape reality, even if only for a short time. His parents noticed the change and sent him to rehab that same year. The experience was rough. Every day, he sat in rooms with counselors who warned him about the dangers of addiction and poor choices. At first, he resisted, but over time, those sessions forced him to look at himself honestly. He began to understand that every choice had a cost and that shortcuts often led to bigger problems. This was when discipline started to make sense to him, not as punishment, but as a tool he needed to build a future. School was another major struggle. Because of his seizures, Rick missed so many classes that catching up became almost impossible. Schools in the late 1970s were not designed to support students with medical conditions like his. Teachers and systems did not offer flexibility or understanding. By 9th or 10th grade, Rick realized staying in school was not helping him. He walked away, not because he was lazy or incapable, but because life had already pushed him onto a different path. Instead of classrooms, he turned to the real world to learn. By the early 1980s, Rick was living in Las Vegas. He started working swap meets and small markets, hustling however he could. This was where his business instincts truly came alive. He became the first teenager in Las Vegas to sell fake Gucci bags. He bought them in New York's Chinatown for around $10 and sold them for nearly $100 each. Some weekends, he made as much as $2,000. For a teenager, this felt incredible. He learned what it meant to create opportunity out of nothing. But Rick also learned that success never lasts forever in the same form. When cheaper Asian imports flooded the market, his profits dropped fast. Instead of giving up, he adapted. He drove to the Los Angeles garment district and found a new product, fake Jordache jeans. He bought them for about $15 a pair and sold them for $40 or $50. Once again, the money started flowing. This ability to change direction quickly became one of Rick's strongest traits. Around this time, his personal life changed forever. When he was 17, his girlfriend Kim became pregnant. After an early heartbreak, they welcomed their son Corey on April 27, 1983, just days after Rick turned 18. Rick chose to marry Kim, and in Las Vegas, their young marriage became local gossip. 2 years later, they had another son, Adam. But the stress of raising children so young, combined with Rick's non-stop hustling, put enormous pressure on the relationship. By 1985, the marriage ended in divorce. Rick took custody of both boys, a decision that pushed him harder than ever. Now, his choices affected not just him, but 2 young lives depending on him. Around the same time, the entire Harrison family faced another massive setback. In April 1981, a real estate collapse in Kentucky wiped out everything Rick's parents had built. After years of work, they were left with just $5,000. That money had to cover moving expenses, rent, food, and whatever future they could manage. With nothing left to lose, they headed to Las Vegas hoping for a fresh start. At that time, Las Vegas was not the glamorous city people imagine today. It was rough, small, and uncertain. The Harrisons arrived knowing nobody. Within weeks, they opened the Gold and Silver Coin Shop. The shop was only 300 square feet, barely big enough for customers to move around. Rick worked there during the day and repossessed cars at night to make ends meet. Some days, they struggled to earn even $100. But they kept showing up, day after day. There was also a strange law in Las Vegas at the time. The city would not issue new pawn shop licenses until the population reached 250,000. In 1981, the population was only around 25,000. City officials believed it would take decades to reach that number. Rick refused to wait passively. Every single week for 8 years, he called the city statistician to track the population. He waited patiently, watching the numbers grow. Finally, in April 1989, the city reached 250,000 residents. Rick rushed to City Hall and secured the pawnshop license. That moment changed everything. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop officially opened at 713 Las Vegas Boulevard that same month. It was still small, but it was theirs. In its first year, the shop made a profit. By the mid-1990s, it had become a local landmark. One deal at a time, the business grew. By 2005, the shop was loaning out about $3 million each year. The average loan was between $75 and $150. Interest income alone reached around $700,000 annually. Thousands of deals passed through their hands, from broken jewelry to rare collectibles. It was an incredible rise from the days when the family arrived in Las Vegas with only $5,000 and nothing else. Rick Harrison also carried a deep and growing need to rebuild and reshape his image and his business. For many years, he worked hard to change how people thought about pawn shops. He did not like the old idea that pawn shops were dark, shady places connected to crime or desperation. Instead, he wanted people to see them as places of trade, history, and smart deals. He believed pawn shops could be honest businesses where knowledge mattered as much as money. This idea stayed in his mind for a long time before it ever became reality. In 2003, Rick got a small break when he appeared briefly on a late-night show called Insomniac with Dave Attell. The appearance was short, but it gave his shop a tiny spark of attention. Most people would have let that moment fade, but Rick did not. He held on to that spark and kept pushing forward. Over and over again, he visited production companies, pitching his idea. He explained that he did not want a fake reality show or cheap drama. He wanted a real family story built around a real business. He imagined something honest, educational, and entertaining at the same time. At first, no one listened. Doors kept closing. But Rick refused to stop trying. Originally, he wanted to call the show Pawning History, because he felt it captured the heart of what he was doing. However, someone at Left Field Pictures thought the name was too long and suggested something simpler. The name Pawn Stars came up, and it clicked immediately. It was short, clever, and the play on words made people smile. After years of rejection and waiting, the History Channel finally agreed to give the idea a chance. On July 19, 2009, Pawn Stars aired for the first time. That single moment completely changed Rick's life. The show did not slowly grow. It took off almost immediately. Viewers connected with it in a way no one expected. By January 2011, one episode reached 7 million viewers, making it the most watched program in the History Channel's history at that time. That same year, Pawn Stars became the second highest-rated reality show in America, averaging 7.6 million viewers per episode, just behind Jersey Shore. People loved the mix of history, humor, real negotiations, and family tension. It felt different from other reality shows because it did not rely on fake drama. That combination helped the show spread across the world. Soon, it was airing in more than 150 countries and translated into 38 languages. Pawn Stars became more than a TV show. It became part of popular culture. As the show exploded in popularity, the gold and silver pawn shop changed completely. Before Pawn Stars, the shop might see 70 to 100 customers a day. After the show took off, everything shifted. By 2010, more than 1,000 people were walking through the doors every single day. By 2013, that number grew to more than 5,000 daily visitors. The shop became a major tourist stop in Las Vegas. Fans wanted to see the place they watched on television and maybe even meet the cast. To handle the massive crowds, Rick opened an express pawn counter in 2013. He hired nearly 30 new employees and spent about $400,000 upgrading the showroom. The shop expanded to roughly 15,000 square feet. Even with all that space, filming rules meant that Rick and the main cast could only work the counter when cameras were off, since real customers needed privacy. Still, the business continued to run smoothly, and the crowds never stopped coming. A big reason the show worked so well was the chemistry between the cast. 3 generations of the Harrison family stood behind the counter, and each one brought something different. Richard Harrison, known to everyone as the Old Man, played the role of the tough but wise authority figure until his retirement in 2017. Rick was the heart of the shop, having worked there since he was just 13 years old. His son Corey, often called Big Hoss, started working in the shop at age 9 and eventually became the manager. Then there was Austin Russell, better known as Chum Lee. He joined the shop at 21 and added humor, mistakes, and unexpected moments that balanced out the serious arguments. The tension between Rick and Corey and the constant teasing of Chum Lee felt real because it came from real history. That honesty kept viewers watching for more than a decade. Rick did not just earn money from the show itself. Some of his biggest and most memorable deals happened on camera. One of the most shocking moments came when he paid $250,000 for 12 original drawings from Maurice Sendak's Where the Wild Things Are. The drawings, created in the mid-1960s, were rare and powerful pieces of children's literature history. Rick looked stunned as he made the deal and admitted he could not believe he was spending that much money. Still, he understood the value and importance of the artwork. Another major deal involved a massive silver collection weighing 3,372 ounces, which Rick purchased for $111,000. On the show, he explained that silver was not just valuable because it was shiny or collectible. It was essential in modern technology, used in phones, computers, and televisions because it is the best conductor of electricity. With silver priced between $25 and $30 an ounce at the time, the collection had both metal value and strong industrial demand. Rick also bought a 1932 Lincoln Roadster for $95,000. Only 112 of those cars were ever made, making it extremely rare. The vehicle was considered a crown jewel of its era and could sell for around $170,000 at auction. Rick knew exactly what he was looking at. He understood the engineering, the history, and the future value of the car. Another memorable purchase was a Les Paul guitar for $90,000. The guitar once belonged to Mary Ford, the wife of Les Paul himself. That personal connection made the guitar far more valuable than a normal vintage instrument. To Rick, it was not just a guitar. It was a piece of living music history. Not every item could be bought, though. One unforgettable moment involved the Robosaurus, a massive mechanical dinosaur that stood 45 feet tall, weighed 31 tons, and breathed fire. The asking price was $1 million. Corey joked that it was a bit out of his budget. The Robosaurus was more of a spectacle than a practical purchase, but its appearance on the show became one of those moments fans never forgot. Behind the scenes, Rick's personal life was far more complicated than it appeared on television. He went through several marriages over the years. His first marriage was to Kim Harrison in 1982, when he was only 17 years old. She was pregnant with their son Corey, and their second son, Adam, was born in 1983. The marriage ended in 1985. Both were very young and unprepared for the pressure of marriage, children, and financial stress. Kim later said that Rick put work ahead of home life and that they slowly drifted apart until communication almost disappeared. Tragedy later struck the family when their son Adam died in January 2024 at the age of 39 from a fentanyl overdose. After his death, Rick spoke publicly about the dangers of opioids and warned others about the growing crisis. Rick's second marriage was to Tracy Harrison in 1986. That marriage lasted much longer, ending in 2011. They had one son together, Jake. Tracy stayed mostly out of the public eye, but records and interviews suggested the relationship slowly faded over time. Rick was constantly working, filming, or running the shop, and the distance between them grew too large to fix. Their divorce was quiet and without public conflict. Jake remained close to both parents and later found his own place within the porn star's world. A year before his death, Richard made a decision that shocked fans and added to the family tension. In 2017, he updated his will and chose to leave out his youngest son, Christopher. The document stated that Richard loved Christopher but had intentionally decided not to provide for him. No explanation was given. Rick, who served as executor of the will, called it a private family matter. Some believed Christopher was already financially stable, while others suspected long-standing personal distance. Joseph and Joanne were named beneficiaries. The timing of the decision raised many questions, especially since it happened so close to Richard's final year. The family turmoil grew even deeper in 2022. Rick's mother, Joanne Harrison, filed a lawsuit accusing him of tricking her into signing away her 51% ownership stake in the pawn shop while she was hospitalized years earlier. According to the lawsuit, she had been in a coma at Valley Hospital around 2000 or 2001 and did not fully understand what she was signing. She claimed she never received clear records explaining what happened to her equity, cash holdings, or silver assets. She also questioned a mysterious $3 million loan that she believed was taken out using her assets as collateral. The lawsuit painted a painful picture of a family struggling with trust, grief, and unresolved wounds following Richard's death. Then came the most heartbreaking loss of all. On January 19, 2024, Rick's son Adam was found unresponsive in a guest house in Las Vegas where he had been living after a recent stay in jail. He was only 39 years old. The Clark County coroner ruled his death accidental, caused by toxic levels of fentanyl and methamphetamine. Adam had battled addiction for many years, moving in and out of rehab as Rick repeatedly tried to help him find stability. Each time Adam left treatment, he stayed sober for a while, but relapse kept pulling him back. In the end, he was trapped in a cycle he could not escape. Rick later spoke openly about the pain of losing his son. He said there was nothing worse than burying a child. His honesty deeply affected many people who had experienced similar losses. Parents across the country saw their own struggles reflected in his words. After Adam's death, Rick began speaking publicly about the fentanyl crisis. He called for stronger border control and harsher punishment for those selling the drug. He said fentanyl was flowing too easily into the country and destroying families. He even stated that anyone caught selling fentanyl should face life in prison because they were spreading poison. His comments pushed him into political discussions he had never been part of before. In February 2025, another major change arrived. Porn stars went on indefinite hiatus after 16 years and 23 seasons. The contract with the History Channel expired, and no renewal talks followed. Rick confirmed that there was no active contract and no current plan to continue filming. The final episodes aired through April 2025, leaving fans around the world stunned. A show that had defined a generation of reality television simply stopped, without a clear ending. Months later, Corey Harrison added another surprise. After filming wrapped in June 2025, he announced that he was moving to Tulum, Mexico, and would not return to the show. He explained that everyone on the show had been playing characters and that he no longer wanted to do that. In Mexico, he chose a quieter life and began exploring the idea of opening a barbecue restaurant. His departure removed one of the most familiar faces from the series and made the future of the brand even more uncertain. Still, Rick did not give up. He began pitching a new project he called Porn Stars 2.0. He spoke with several networks, including HBO, though nothing was officially confirmed. He hoped to rebuild the brand with a fresh concept, possibly with new faces and a new format. For longtime fans, even the idea offered a small sense of hope. By 2025, Rick's net worth was estimated to be between $8 and $9 million. He built this through real estate, restaurants, merchandise, public appearances, book sales, and the pawn shop, which still attracts thousands of visitors each year. Some appearances paid him more than $1,000. His book, License to Pawn, became a bestseller. Despite everything he had lost, the empire he built showed how far he had come. But the emotional weight remained heavy. His mother Joanne passed away in 2024 at the age of 85. Before that, he had lost his father and then his son. He also faced the lawsuit connected to his mother's estate. One loss followed another, stacking quietly over time. Even so, Rick continued moving forward, trying to balance grief with responsibility, holding on to the family legacy while nearly everything around him continued to change.